there's no one right way to do a retreat, and there's many wrong ways to do it as well. And so I think that after we've got that purpose clear, okay, and we understand a little bit more about where everybody's coming from, so we can interact with them in a way that's productive. There's a huge number of common mistakes. Here's one: the leader decides that they're going to be the facilitator. Oh, it's so hard being in that corner office. Nobody wants to tell you anything, or people are concerned every time you clear your throat. What does that mean and everything? If you're the facilitator as the leader, or as one of the leaders, it becomes very difficult sometimes for people to be fully engaged because they're concerned about what they might say, or they might concern. That's one problem with it. But the other problem is very simple. If you're the facilitator, it's harder for you to be a participant. If you're the facilitator, it's harder for you to observe the dynamic because you're busy doing the job of facilitator. So that's one common mistake. Another mistake is the wrong or an inexperienced facilitator. In a retreat, the facilitator really has got almost two roles, besides timekeeper and facilitation, okay? But they've got two roles. On one hand is to pull out as much as possible from everybody who's within the retreat itself, but also to sort of add some value themselves, because hopefully if they're an experienced facilitator and they're somebody who's had some experience in the business, if you will, of that's related to the organization, the questions that you could ask as facilitators and the knowledge you might be able to share is very helpful. So that's one thing. Another, we talked about already, inadequate planning. It's very, very hard to suddenly just turn on a dime and actually get it. And in a certain sense, if we think about it, if we want people, all the participants, to do something beforehand, that's got to be planned too. So it's not just the agenda of the day. What else? Maybe a wrong mix of fun versus learning activities, right? The fun activities, in a certain sense, grease the wheels. You're sitting at dinner and you can have different kinds of conversations compared to when you're in that work setting, right? Going out and doing some fun activity because it's near, some special thing, I don't know whatever that might happen to be, means that people have a chance to connect on a personal level. And one of the huge benefits of a retreat is building that relationship. So you have to actually make sure that there's mechanism to actually have that relationship building taking place. Part of that relationship building takes place is during the interactive and participative and experiential part of the actual learning that happens when things are facilitated correctly. And some of them happen during the social and the team building, if you will, part of it, whether it's explicitly team building activities or just more social activities. So if we get that mix wrong, okay, we're probably not going to achieve the goals. No before activities, no after prep. When there's no after activities, there's no reinforcement. There's no post-event accountabilities. If there's nothing done with any output of the retreat, then the whole thing, nothing changes. When there's an embarrassment that happens, somebody's called on the carpet in a way, well, that's going to shut down everything, right? We don't want to embarrass people. We want people to open up. Bad logistics, the meals, the transportation, the lodging, all that kind of stuff. But I want to mention one other thing that's not actually, people don't always think about, because people don't always think about it, is non-inclusive social activities. So for example, and these are real life examples from offsites where I've been brought in to do one particular thing, and I observe these things. For example, how about this? A social or team building activity, which is axe throwing when one of the people is blind. Not a good idea. Wine tasting when one or several people don't drink. Golf when one person is handicapped. They don't have, they're missing one arm, right? I kid you not. Okay, I could go on with things that are very, very well intentioned, but at least for one or two or sometimes three people on the event, at the offsite event, it sort of falls flat and they feel excluded. And that's exactly the opposite that you actually want. If you're going to do these activities, it has to be something that everybody can do something and enjoy. So, oh my God, there's so many other things, but I think that's probably good enough. Take care of these. You'll probably have a very good retreat. So.